So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to make the big money. I'm talking about 50, 100, 200, couple of $100 million. How do you do it? Well, I've analyzed several companies, several individuals. I've done over 50 plus courses in business, finance, and various other subjects, including leadership. And I've started 7 companies, 7 projects in the last 11 years. Not all of them succeeded. I learned from the ones that did not succeed and applied the knowledge in the next ones. And I have been involved in several high-profile negotiations. I've negotiated with a $3.5 million company, $25 million, $120 million, $140 million companies. And I've also negotiated with some of the largest healthcare groups in UAE that were worth around $10 billion, which was a publicly listed company. I've negotiated with them, and I've managed to bring together some of the most high-profile executives. I've met several high-net-worth individuals, including a man who was worth around 500 million pounds. I was mentored by Dan Pena. I've done 2 of his seminars, which costed me 20,000 pounds each, and I implemented the information. So I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of insights. And when you go to these seminars, you find people who have portfolios of $30 million, $50 million, and some of them even hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay. So I'm going to be talking to you about what I've learned, what I've seen, what I've analyzed, what I've looked into, and what I have figured out while I talk to these people, and bringing that information to you. So let's get started. How do you make the big money? There are only 2 ways to do it. Fundamentally, financially, there are only two ways to do it. You sell something small in size to a large group of people. That's method 1. And i.e. Kylie Jenner, Logan Paul. These are individuals who have products which are small in size. When I say small, I mean under $1,000 to $10,000 and less. That would be a small sized product. So you take, something that's small in size, under $1,000 to $10,000, and it has a recurring model where the person gets addicted to the product. It could be alcohol based. Conor McGregor is an example who started a whiskey brand. I think it was whiskey. And it's an addiction based product. Another one is makeup is also addiction-based product. When you start wearing makeup and presenting yourself with makeup, how likely are you to present yourself without makeup? It's unlikely, because now people know you with makeup and you want to kind of always hide behind that. So you always have to keep buying makeup. That's why makeup brands do really well, because it's addiction-based. Another one is caffeine or energy drink or protein. Some people who go to the gym and who get used to protein, they always have to keep ordering more and more. So those are examples of small products that sell to the masses, and you can make a bunch of money. The key is you have to be the owner in the company, and you can do this. And most of the time, the people who get wealthy from this model are celebrities. Why? Because if you have to sell this to masses, your biggest expense is going to be advertising, because the cost of getting the product to the masses is going to be huge, or the product has to be so extraordinary that it just is super disruptive, i.e. Facebook was super disruptive. So either it has to be super disruptive that it spreads by word of mouth, or you have to spend a lot of money on advertising, or you are a celebrity and you already control the traffic. For example, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, doesn't have to spend a lot of money on advertising. He just has to post the product, him with the product, and make a video for free on Instagram or YouTube, and he'll make a bunch of money. Kim Kardashian is another example who doesn't have to spend advertising dollar to market on these platforms. She can just do a couple of posts and she can drive traffic and make a bunch of money. Kylie Jenner also did the same, and several, including Donald Trump, he can just, put his hand on something and it's going to sell, because these people Mr. Beast is another example where he's selling something small, chocolates, and a bunch of other things. And he already has the traffic. He has worked to build an audience, and he doesn't have to spend any money anymore to be Mr. Beast is a little bit different, but he already controls the traffic and he can just sell to that traffic. So that's model number one, sell something small to the masses. Typically, this works for addiction-based products, combination of celebrities. And that's how a lot of these people have gotten wealthy. And it's not a coincidence because people copy celebrities. They come up with similar ideas, I've met several individuals who wanted to start a company, and it's always a fashion project because they saw Kanye West or Kim Kardashian do it or something similar. What works for them may not work for you because there is a traffic factor, there is an audience factor involved. That's one. Second is, this is more common. People have built wealth with this model. A lot more people have built with this model, and that's sell something huge in size, something very big to a few people, and if you look at the biggest commodities on the planet, you've got real estate and businesses. Real estate and businesses. You could find $1 billion real estate or even a couple of $1 billion real estate in this world. So that's a huge commodity. And businesses are the largest commodity on this planet. There is nothing that is more valuable or bigger in size than a business. No diamond, no yacht, no jet, nothing. There is nothing in the world that's bigger than businesses. The largest company is, I think, Nvidia. It's worth around $3 trillion. For a long time, the largest company was Aramco, which was worth $2 trillion. And Apple was also a couple of $1 trillion. So these are large commodities. In fact, this came to my attention when I started to look into businesses and started to talk to bankers. Bankers regard $1 to $20 million businesses as small businesses. Small, not big. $1 to $20 million is small. But in our circles or in your circles, if you talk about 20 to 50 million, that sounds like a lot of money. But in the banking terminology, this is a small business. $50 to $250 million, a little bit bigger than that, maybe medium. And then you've got large, couple of $100 million. And then you have the massive mega corporates. And then you have public companies, which is a completely different size. And Nvidia, Apple, these companies are public companies. We'll talk about public companies. But that's companies. The point of this analysis is companies are the largest commodities, even bigger than real estate. Okay, so these are the two ways where you could sell something huge, have ownership in it. You can't just be the middleman. You may make a little bit money. You can make a nice income. You can live a comfortable life if you're the middleman, like a real estate broker. You may have heard about Ryan Serhant, who is a real estate broker. You can make a really nice income, couple of $1 million, selling big commodities, being the middleman. But the real money is in ownership of these assets. If you're selling something in which you have ownership in either real estate or companies, you can make a whole bunch of money. Real estate, the downside of real estate is that it's very slow to appreciate. The appreciation on that real estate property happens very gradual, long term. That's why if you notice one thing about the real estate, guys who have built real estate, wealth with real estate, they have gray hair because their wealth was built over time. And so that's one downside, is it appreciates, but it appreciates slowly. And you build wealth, you're building wealth on paper. So typically the real estate guys, they keep leveraging their asset and keep buying more assets. But cash flow is not a lot. And every time you buy an asset, you're loading the company with debt, and the cash flows from real estate is not huge. To give you a perspective, I think I watched a Grant Cardone video where he said $1 billion real estate produces $18 million of cash flow. So if you want to make $18 million of cash flow, you got to acquire $1 billion worth of real estate. I don't know if that is for a fact, but that's just a video that I saw about him. But even the actual margin will be somewhere around this because it is a low margin business. And that probably factors in most of the money goes to pay off the debt, and what you have remaining is very little cash flow. So that's real estate. On top of it, it appreciates slowly. So that's the business model of real estate, is appreciation over time, over a long-term horizon, 10, 20 years. That's where most people make their money. And a lot can happen in the 20 years. Okay. So that's real estate. Companies, however, specific industries, not all industries, but there are specific industries where they're cash flow rich. They're service-based companies. For example, a dental clinic could have a 40% margin. So if they are making $1 million, they're keeping $400,000. Okay, if they're making $10 million, they're keeping $4 million. So companies tend to have a more richer cash flow. And when you combine several companies together, the appreciation happens really fast. You don't have to wait like real estate 10, 20 years for the value of the asset to appreciate. Why? Because small companies sell for lower price and large companies sell for a higher price. Why? Because there's more demand for larger companies. If you have a private equity firm that's sitting on a couple of $100 million, they have a problem if they are sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars in cash, because inflation every year is literally reducing the value of that capital a lot. So they suffer with the problem of too much money. They have too much money. So they have to allocate this capital as fast as possible. If they have $200 million, they cannot allocate all of this capital in $2 million companies. It's going to take too much time because they'll have to acquire 100 companies to allocate $200 million. And to acquire 100 companies, each one of them have a different seller. Each one of them will need a separate negotiation and separate deal structure. It's too much work to acquire 200 companies. So what they do is they prefer acquiring one company that's worth $200 million than 100 companies worth $2 million. The point of this is that large companies, $200 million companies, $50 million companies, $100 million companies are more valuable because a private equity firm or a big group can just allocate all of that capital, the problem that they have, too much money. They can just allocate it faster because they need to deal with one owner that owns this asset, $100 million, and they can structure a deal over a period of 6 to 8 months and allocate all of that capital. So big companies are few and more in demand. So a lot of the private equity firms are acquiring only big companies. They have thresholds. We only acquire companies above $50 million. So they will not even talk to smaller companies because it's a waste of time. And the shareholders are putting pressure on the fund managers, allocate our capital so it can multiply. So they're looking for big assets. The big private equity companies are looking for big assets. They're not looking for smaller companies. But here is the funny part. The smaller companies are more in number. There are thousands of companies in small size, let's say dental clinic. I think one of my clients who is right now looking to buy dental clinics in America, he said there are about 39,000 of these dental clinics in America. I don't know for a fact. He just happened to tell me that there are about 39,000 dental clinics. So, and most of these companies are small in size. Most of these companies are not $100 million companies. They're small in size. So small sized companies are huge. There are many of these deals available, many of these businesses available to buy, and private equity is not buying them because they can't. They can't afford to spend all the time to allocate all of this capital. They're looking for big deals. So these small companies are denied of love. Nobody wants to acquire them. So you could acquire these companies at a smaller price compared to a larger company. And you can combine these companies together and yourself become a large company. And then you can sell it to a higher price to a private equity company. So you do the grunt work of finding and negotiating deals with several small companies. You become a big company, and the private equity is going to pay you a premium because you did all the work of consolidating these assets. And you can have major equity, major positions, major ownership positions in these companies. And when you buy something for a small price, which has a high cash flow, small price that you're paying, and the company has a high cash flow, you could finance the deal with the bank. Because bank also has a problem of too much money. They're sitting on cash and there is inflation problems, so they need to allocate this capital in the form of debt. When they allocate, they make interest. So bank's money follows cash flows. So when you can structure a deal properly, a small deal, take it to a bank, finance it, and the cash flows of the business pays off the bank, you can have ownership in this company. You do one deal, two deals, and you acquire several multi-million-dollar companies, and you can sell it for a double price or a higher price, depending on how profitable the business is and how much the private equity in your region pays. But that's the game. You could either sell something small to a large number of people if you have an audience, or if you can find someone who has an audience. Some people play that game. Or you could find something that's big in size and that produces cash flow. You can have ownership in that, and you can sell that eventually. You can combine these commodities, these several small businesses together, and you can create this asset, and then you can sell that and make a bunch of money. Or you could sell it to a private equity, or you could take it public. If you take it public, you could sell it for a huge amount. Because public is stupid. I'm just kidding. But most of the people are not sophisticated, so they overpay, and that's public companies are overpriced. So that's the reason why you can exit for a huge amount of money if you take it public, or if you sell it private, you could sell it to a private equity firm who can then take this asset and then sell it to the masses, to the public. Okay, so that's the whole game of mergers and acquisitions. If you're interested in learning about this, if you're interested for me to mentor you, I have several clients right now. They're doing this, and I've mentored several clients in the past as well. They managed to put themselves in a position where they were negotiating and structuring multi-million-dollar deals. If you're interested in learning this from me, as I said, I have several clients doing this. One of the clients got a very senior executive in Coca-Cola who has done several multi-billion-dollar deals to be his business partner, and one of the top lawyers who was a senior partner in one of the large law firms in the world. He has got these two individuals on his board, okay, and they still need to sign the papers, but they're interested. And the lawyer is checking for conflicts, but he's interested in the project, okay. And the guy that I'm talking about, he's in his mid-20s. Just think about it. Top lawyer who worked in a $7 billion law firm, he's interested in his project, and the senior executive in Coca-Cola is interested. And I've got another guy who's about to finish his board. He has got an ex-US military general to be on his board, and several other high-profile guys who have done billions of dollars of deals. And I've done 2 to 3 sessions with these people. And these people, their lives have changed because they figured out a way to bring high-profile people together. They'll be securing large accounting and law firms to represent them, banks, deals, and they'll be going through the process, and I'll be teaching them. So if you're interested, I have managed to free up some more of my time. I'm taking some more clients. I offer one-on-one and group mentorship programs. They are structured over 6 to 12 to 18 months, depending on how fast you execute. And if you're interested, if you're serious, I don't work with everybody. I offer one phone call for free one phone call for free. This is going to be an exploratory call where we discover what your goals are and if this is a right model for you or not. If it is, I train you. If not, we say bye-bye. And before we get on the call, you have to fill up a form, and I will go through the form to ascertain whether you're serious or not, because my time is on the line. I have to make sure I'm dealing with somebody who has a serious intention to execute this model. It has changed many lives. I've seen people make a lot of money from it. Okay, so if you're interested, reach out to me and we'll take it from there.